Dr. Gilbert, I read an article the other day that talked about parasites. And it said that the United States, of all the countries in the world, has a bigger parasite problem than anywhere else. Explain what parasites are and why in the world should the United States be the most guilty of the problem?
Isn't it interesting? Because being an industrialized nation, a very progressive nation, we would think that that's not the case. And people slough it off as to, oh, well, not in the United States. That's only in poor countries, or that's in third world developing countries. What happens is that, and they're not sure why, one of the things is that we have so much infiltration of people from other countries. So they're bringing some of their problems of lack of sanitation, for instance. They don't have clean water, so they have parasites. People aren't bringing them intentionally, but they're coming on their body. Some of them are airborne, whether it be through an airport and you're touching the handrails, you know, anything that you're touching in a public place. So we're cross-contaminating each other constantly. But the other thing is that we are not eating a high-fiber diet, and you and I have discussed this many times. So if we don't have the brushes that our Creator intended to be able to get this stuff out of our system.
The brushes being
the brush is the fiber.
The
fiber.
Okay.
So we have a diet now in the standard American diet, and the SAD diet, that is devoid of a lot of fiber and devoid of a lot of minerals and soil. We've talked about soil depletion in certain parts of the country. So when you combine all of that, people don't have any ammunition to be able to get those parasites out. And so even I have a quote here that according to Dr. Frank Nova, who is the chief of the Laboratory for Parasitic Diseases at the National Institutes of Health, he said in terms of numbers, there are more parasitic infections acquired in this country. Not necessarily that they originate here, but they're acquired here or brought to us here than in Africa. So in a lot of the countries that I refer to with the researchers that I work with, Eastern European countries, Asian countries, specifically I know Malaysia and Indonesia, they automatically train their patients when they're a physician or a healthcare practitioner to take a course for 2 weeks every 6 months for parasites, which is what I do. My birthday happens to be in June, so it's the middle of the year. I do 2 weeks in June and 2 weeks after the Christmas holiday, sometime in January. And so by doing that, you're being proactive rather than reactive.
I see.
But if you're not doing something on a continual basis to get rid of those parasites, eventually you start having anything from, for instance, psoriasis. 75% of the people that I deal with that have psoriasis, the problem is not allergies because they're just allergies. It's because they have parasites, especially when they start getting big nodules on their knuckles. And the minute that we give them a parasite cleanse and start cleaning out their GI tract and supporting their body with good antioxidants, guess what? The psoriasis is gone. So it's basically most of them, not everyone, but most of them are a cause of a parasitic infection. And the other thing, too, that's important to think about is, you know, we've talked so much about organic food and staying away from the pesticides and the toxic fertilizers, etc. But think about it. If you eat mostly organic food, nothing's been put on that food to kill any little microorganisms.
Very quickly.
So if you're eating organic food, you better wash it real well and make sure that you use some kind of a peroxide vegetable wash so that you can clean them real well, because you are having, you're in the perfect episode where you could end up with more parasites.
So we very definitely need to rely on whoever we have supply us with our nutritional substances to be able to give us the information that's necessary on a good product, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely.